Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over when to buy treads versus when to buy phase boots. I'm going to go through each item individually, and then we're going to compare and contrast both of the items to see when to buy one versus the other. So first, we're going to take a look at power treads, and it's 1400 gold, gives you move speed, a little bit less for ranged heroes, as you can see here, and then 10 of your selected attribute and 25 attack speed. The attack speed is extremely important, but the attributes are also pretty big as well. You can get 10 strength, 10 agility, or 10 intelligence. You get one of the three, and you can cycle between all three of them at any time with no cost. You know, whatever the hotkey is for that item slot that you have those treads in, you can just keep switching, which is very, very important for tread switching, which is a mechanic that I will show you in a minute, but that basically allows you to maximize your mana. It also allows you to get a little bit tankier in terms of more HP with the strength if you're very low HP and you're just at the risk of dying, and maybe, you know, there's one right click or one little spell that's going to go off, and if you just have strength treads instead of intelligence or agility treads, you may survive. And that can be very important at times at very unique or significant moments in fights and things like that. We can see that treads is built from boots, which is obvious, gloves of haste, and belt of strength. And actually, you don't have to use belt of strength. You can actually buy Band of Elven Skin or Robe of the Magi to complete the tread. So obviously the default here is Belt of Strength, but you don't actually have to have that. If you want to build into treads as an agility hero, you can buy the Band of Elven Skin first. This can be very, very good on certain heroes that benefit a lot from that extra armor, from that extra damage that agility gives you, and you don't necessarily need the attack speed, or you don't need the boots of speed first. You know, PA is a very, very good example of this because PA loves to spam daggers, loves to blink away, so you don't really need the boots of speed. You're not attacking a lot early. You know, just getting that Band of Elven Skin can be huge for amping up dagger damage, amping up right click damage, securing last hits. So that can be something you do a lot with power treads, is just going for the Band of Elven Skin first. Otherwise, you might get Gloves of Haste first, or you might just go for Boots of Speed first if you just want to run people down, because Boots is always going to be good early on in the game, but you don't necessarily want to buy it like first item all the time. You know, you might want to get like a wand, even just a stick, maybe even a Wraith Band or something like that. Like, these smaller items do help. A lot of the times, rushing boots isn't always great, but it can be good to get it pretty early in certain lanes with certain heroes. Now, to show you how tread switching actually works, I picked Slark, and I think Slark is the quintessential tread switching hero, honestly. You might say Bristleback, even Anti-Mage are good examples, but I really like Slark because you can utilize all three of the intelligence, agility, and strength to your advantage. So obviously, because you're an agility hero, you are a right-click carry, you have power treads on agility most of the time. This is just giving you more armor, more, you know, damage, all that kind of stuff that you want as an agility carry. But the other big thing, and something that you actually want to get used to doing on heroes like Slark or Anti-Mage that have a spell that you're kind of going to be spamming. So Slark, you spam Dark Pact for farming or clearing waves, or even obviously in fights to brush off stuns and other things like that. And then for Anti-Mage, you blink from camp to camp all the time, especially in the mid game once you have Battle Fury. And so the important thing to note is that you kind of want to get it ingrained in yourself to switch from agility treads to int treads, and then use your spell and then switch back to agility. So I have it kind of ingrained that before I even use Dark Pact, I will just double click, and I have the shortcut here. This is where I put my treads, to the mouse forward. It's one of my mouse buttons. I double click that, then I click my spell, and then I click it once again. It's kind of just a pattern that I have where I don't even really think about it. It's just ingrained. Same thing with Anti-Mage. I would just be going around, I'll double click, press that, and click again. And you can just do it extremely fast once you don't even have to think about it anymore. And over time, this will save you a significant amount of mana. You can get, you know, more Dark Pacts, more blinks off when you're farming, which is extremely important to stay on the map, to, you know, have as much farm as possible, and to have some mana left over to participate in fights. So it can be something that really affects, you know, your presence on the map and your farming speed in general. The other thing, especially with Slark, that's important is when you do self-damage with Dark Pact, obviously it can be better to switch to strength treads when that damage is going off. So you can actually click this and then go to strength treads, and that ends up doing a little bit less damage to you overall, because if you see when I switch here, agility, I don't get any health, I don't get any intelligence. Here, when I switch to health, my health goes up, then it goes back down when I switch to int treads, and my mana goes up, and then when I switch to agility, both of those are at their lowest possible because I'm not getting those extra stats. So basically, This hero utilizes all three of those in a very effective manner. And then obviously, like I said before, if you are in a fight or something and you're right back down to your lowest HP, you can switch to this really quick to get that little bit of HP burst to help you survive, which can be very, very important. It saved me many times in games. If you really start getting into that and realizing, oh, I'm about to die, quick, switch to strength treads. That can be extremely life-saving in Dota. Now we're going to take a look at phase boots. It actually costs 100 gold more, so 1,500. It gives you 50 movement speed across the board, which actually is fairly important overall, that it's the same for ranged and melee heroes. It actually gives you different damage though, depending if you're melee or ranged. So 18 damage for melee, 12 damage for ranged, and then 4 armor. It also gives you this active, which is phase, which basically increases your movement speed and also allows you to walk through creeps or heroes. So you don't really get blocked. You can't get body blocked when you have phase boots. And this is extremely important for specific heroes that get kited by just people running away or kind of blocking them. That is extremely important for certain kinds of heroes that have low mobility. But overall, phase boots is a boot that is less, attack speed focused, damage focused, more mobility and utility focused, and a little bit of armor focused as well. It's for tanky heroes or heroes that don't have a lot of innate tankiness, that get a little bit tanky from having just 4 armor. That can be very significant at times. Now, phase boots is built with boots of speed, chainmail, and blades of attack. So we can kind of see that. This gives you damage and armor. This is great as a build-up, chainmail with the armor and blades of attack with the armor. It's one of those things where obviously you can buy boots if you feel like you're getting kited a lot, you need boots in that lane or whatever, because a lot of heroes that buy phase boots feel like they're getting kited, and that can be even an issue in the lane at times, where they feel like to get aggressive they need that move speed, or to be safe they need the move speed to retreat. But a lot of the time, chainmail can be a very, very good first item to buy if you're building into phase boots, because this just gives you a lot of tankiness in the lane. And so that can be very important if you're going against a lot of right clicks. Like maybe the support and the core that you're against are just right clicking you down constantly. Maybe it's 2 ranged heroes or something. Getting that chainmail will just help you sustain and have more HP overall. It's only 4 armor, but that can be significant, especially on relatively low armor heroes. Maybe sometimes blades of attack is the one you want to go because you don't really have a problem with sustaining in lane. Like it's not something where move speed matters. It feels like to you, you're the one clicking a lot. You're getting a lot of right clicks in for harass damage. And if you just go this blade of attack early, that just makes it even better for you and even worse for the enemy. So you could totally go for any of these 3 items early. I would say it's probably chainmail a little bit more of the safe option. The blades of attack is a little rarer and more of the aggressive option. And then boots of speed is right there in the middle, where it just depends. Obviously, like I said, even for the treads, you want to be going for wraith bands, maybe bracers, magic wands, these kinds of things probably before rushing boots. But getting boots pretty early can be good in a lot of different matchups depending on the hero. So to show you how phase boots actually works, it's really not that complicated, honestly. I picked Legion Commander because I think Legion Commander is a quintessential phase boots buyer. If you look at any guide, phase boots would be the boots that you buy on this hero. You don't really buy treads. And that's for many reasons, but one reason is that a lot of these melee heroes, especially melee strength heroes, really benefit from that extra movement speed and not getting blocked. So you can see that it's kind of hard to run around here. If I want to duel somebody, I don't want to have to run around these creeps if they're on the other side. Let's say they, it's a split second that they put themselves at a vulnerable position, and I can just get that duel off if only I could run through the creeps. Well, now I can just phase right through them, get that extra movement speed, and chase them down. So it's very, very important for heroes like this, that obviously this hero likes to buy blink, but phasing to the lane, phasing to that spot, and getting there as soon as possible can be very, very important on heroes like this or Axe or other initiation heroes, or heroes like Lifesteal that really need to chase people down. So this active component is extremely important for that, not just later in the game, but obviously in the laning stage as well when you're around a lot of creeps. So now that we understand the difference between phase boots and treads, let's talk about which heroes like to buy which boots and why. So I already talked about a few heroes like Slark and Anti-Mage that like to buy treads. I already talked about, Legion and Axe that like to buy phase, but that's a very good indicator of a lot of heroes of what they like to buy and which one. So if you just go down through the list of agility heroes, a lot of them like to buy treads. And if they don't buy treads, it's mainly because they do have some issues with getting kited. Like Bloodseeker, you might want to buy phase boots because you do have issues with getting kited. Troll Warlord might get have an issue with getting kited. You know, Ursa likes to run people down, stick on people because you might have an issue. Otherwise, a lot of these other heroes, like I said, like Slark, like Anti-Mage, or ranged heroes like a Drow Ranger, a lot of these heroes just want treads because they want that attack speed. It is actually a better damage item overall because the attack speed is so good. Those stats are so good. Phase is really about, okay, do I get kited? Is this an issue for me? And so if you look at the strength heroes, they obviously have that issue a little bit more because a lot of them are tanky and melee, but the other big component is that armor. So if you didn't know, agility gives you armor. The agility heroes, they probably have more agility gain. Strength heroes don't really have as much innate armor, so that armor really helps them. A lot of them are initiators. A lot of them have a lot of HP, and giving that extra armor to them is huge, but also Lifestealer, Legion Commander, Kunkka, Axe, you know, Centaur, most of these heroes, Doom, they want to chase people down. Mars, they want to get that initiation as soon as possible. They want to be fast. They want to, you know, chase you down if you're running away, and they don't really have a lot of mobility spells. Like, you can see a lot of these guys buy Blink because they don't have anything in their kit that allows them to stick on you for the most part. Now, there are other heroes like Bristleback, like Alchemist. They can also buy treads because they really benefit from that attack speed, or Bristleback is a good one that benefits from the intelligence when you're tread switching with quills and stuff. So it's not an all or nothing. It is a very case-by-case, individual game and individual hero basis, but those are some of the ideas of the shortcuts that you can use to see which one is better. Even someone like Ursa on this other side can buy both. You know, if you really want to chase people down with phase boots, that can be good, but if you want to amp up your farm and just do insane attack speed and don't feel like sticking on heroes is going to be a problem because you have a lot of stuns and initiation and whatever on your team already, you can go for those treads. So that is the big difference between those two. Also, intelligence heroes, that can be another thing. That which one do you really want? Do you need that movement speed because you feel like you need to run people down because you're a slow hero already? You need that armor because, again, you're not agility. Getting armor is good. Or do you just want the straight attack speed because you need attack speed? It's very good on your hero, those kinds of things. And this is one of those that it's hard to know which one to go every time. Thankfully, there are heroes that they just buy this or they just buy the other. But figuring out which one can be difficult sometimes, but knowing those shortcuts really will help you understand the differences between the two and when to choose. Then the last thing to say about these items, when do we actually buy power treads? When do we actually buy phase boots? Well, obviously we buy them in the lane, but we usually don't want to get them super early. Like, there are some heroes that just want to straight up rush power treads. Like, that can happen. But a lot of the times we want maybe a stick or a magic wand. We want some branches in our inventory. Obviously we want some tangos, some heals. We might build wraith bands or bracers depending on the patch. So we will get these small items. Maybe we'll just have boots for a while and then we'll finally upgrade it into phase boots later. This happens a lot in different patches, different games, different heroes, but there are certainly cases where some heroes just stick with boots of speed and don't even upgrade to the extra damage and armor from phase, or they don't feel like they need the stats and the attack speed of gloves of haste. Sometimes there are heroes that want to buy boots of travel because they don't necessarily need all of those things that the other two boots, you know, give them. And so even though you can buy phase, even though you can buy power treads, if you're saving up for a boots of travel, that's one where you might just keep boots of speed as just the brown boots. That's what people generally call it, brown boots, just keeping it there and waiting for that time when you can spend the extra gold to get the boots of travel. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, I'm not talking specifically about boots of travel in this video. I will talk about that in a later video, but just keep that in mind. Just because these are the two core boots that most heroes are buying in the core position in most games doesn't mean you have to buy one or the other. Sometimes you can actually opt for going no boots on a hero like Weaver or Centaur, and sometimes you can just keep brown boots, boots of speed. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessary that you have to buy boots or complete them into one of these. And sometimes you can even forego getting boots until relatively late in the laning stage, like even 8 to 10 minutes, because you don't feel like for whatever reason that the movement speed is that important. You want these other items. Maybe you just want to go like Gloves of Haste into Maelstrom or something, or another farming item because maybe the boots of speed just doesn't matter on your hero that much for that specific lane. But that is obviously very kind of rare and matchup dependent, but just keep that in mind. So that, everyone, is power treads. That's phase boots. That's the difference between the two, and that is when to buy one versus the other. Obviously, I can't give you exact details on every single hero in every situation. It is very much just thinking about them strategically, thinking about them theoretically. You know, what do they do, and what are the shortcuts that can kind of give me a hint of when to buy one versus the other in those certain situations on those certain heroes, and why is this item good? What does it actually do? And so if you're not taking advantage of the tread switching, maybe sometimes phase boots is better. Maybe this video will let you know that you need to start tread switching because it is a very important part of what this item does. It's core on a lot of different heroes, and that's a big reason why. So hopefully you have a better idea of when to buy treads and when to buy phase boots. As always, guys, if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.